That morning, the emergency alarm burst through the quiet lobby. The sharp sound echoed across the marble floor, and employees rushed out of their offices with startled faces, dropping papers, spilling coffee, running toward the nearest exit without looking back. A faint smell of smoke slid into the air, and panic spread like a fast-moving wave. But in the middle of that confusion, one man moved in the opposite direction. It was William Gray, the elderly janitor no one paid attention to, a man who usually pushed a cleaning cart silently, as if he were part of the background. "Sir, that way is too dangerous," someone shouted, reaching for his arm, but William stepped aside gently and said, "There is someone down in there." He dipped a cloth in water, pressed it over his mouth, took one deep breath, and walked straight into the thick gray smoke. His steps were slow but steady, like a man who already knew exactly where to go. People stared, confused. Why is he heading that way? No one even knows that corridor. Nothing made sense. Yet no one dared to stop him. Moments later, a silhouette appeared inside the smoke. It was William, and on his back lay the unconscious CEO, Ethan Cole. "Make space. He needs clean air." William's voice cut through the fear, and employees quickly moved aside. He lowered Ethan onto the floor with careful hands. Ethan's eyes fluttered open, clouded with smoke and shock. He looked at the old man's face, as if recognizing something buried long ago. His cracked voice trembled. "Are you that William?" People froze. They exchanged puzzled looks. That William? What did that even mean? No one knew it yet, but this rescue would open a door to a secret that had been hidden for decades. Inside the walls of the company, after the firefighters left and the noise settled, the lobby slowly returned to a quiet state. Employees tried to gather themselves, but their eyes kept drifting toward the old janitor, standing near the wall with his burned hand lowered at his side. William Gray, 78 years old. He lived alone in a small, worn room on the edge of the city. He had worked in this building for more than 2 decades, yet most employees barely knew his name. To them, he had always been the janitor, a quiet man who pushed a cleaning cart and blended into the background. But today, everyone was staring at him, as if they were seeing him for the first time. "Did you see his hand? That burn looks serious." He walked into the smoke like he knew the place. Mary, Ethan's assistant, stepped closer. Her voice trembled with worry. "Sir, your hand is really hurt. You need to go to the hospital." William shook his head lightly. "I'm fine. It will cool down soon." "No, please. This is not a small burn. You need real treatment." Mary reached for his arm, but William gently pulled away. "There is someone worse off than me." Before Mary could speak again, a cold voice cut through the air. Funny how he knew exactly where the flames were. The words came from Eric Stone, the operations manager. Everyone knew his style. Strict, sharp, a man who believed rules were everything. "That corridor is hidden. Most employees don't even go near it," Eric said, folding his arms. "But you ran straight there, like you had a map in your pocket." People exchanged uneasy glances. "True, I never go that way. How did he even know?" Mary stepped forward in anger. "Eric, stop it. He saved Ethan's life. At least say thank you first." Eric didn't blink. "I'm not denying it, but I want to know why he acted that way." His gaze looked onto William, with a sharp, unrelenting intensity. "How did you know where to go?" For a brief moment, William's eyes trembled, a thin crack in his calm expression. It was quick, but clear enough to show he was hiding something. No one understood it yet, but that single question was about to pull open the first thread of a deep secret, woven into the history of the company. 3 days after the incident, the security team gathered in the conference room to review the lobby CCTV footage. Employees drifted in quietly, curious to see how the chaos had unfolded. The room fell silent as the recording began to play across the large screen. Smoke, sparks, running footsteps. Everything looked as frantic as they remembered, but at the 17-second mark, every eye in the room fixed on one figure, William Gray. He was moving toward the far corridor, the one no one ever used, the one hidden behind a half-closed partition. His steps were quick, steady, almost too confident. Why is he going that way? That path leads near the secure zone. Most of us don't even know what's back there. Whispers filled the room. The image of the old janitor, running through a path known only to a few, felt strangely out of place. Ethan stood near the front, motionless. His gaze locked onto the screen. His expression didn't show fear. It showed recognition, a quiet certainty, as if something long buried was finally rising to the surface. Mary leaned forward. "This is the original file, right?" "Yes," the guard replied. "No edits at all." Then Eric Stone stepped closer to the monitor. He tapped the screen with a finger. "This," he said sharply, "is exactly what I was talking about." He didn't guess the direction. He knew it. Eric turned slightly, looking at these employees. How does a janitor know a route that most staff avoid? How does he know it like the back of his hand? The murmurs grew louder. Maybe he worked here before. There's no record of that. Then how does this make any sense? Meanwhile, William stood alone near the hallway window outside. His shoulders were still, but his fingers rubbed the burn mark on his hand, as if remembering something he could not say. Inside the room, Ethan replayed the key moment again and again. The old man's stride, his direction, the speed of his movements, all of it matched a memory Ethan had tried to bury years ago. A night full of smoke, a stranger carrying him, a promise he barely heard. Now, watching the screen, Ethan felt the truth pressing in. It's him. It has to be him. The CCTV footage was no longer just evidence of a fire. It was the first real clue to a hidden past that had been following him silently. Inside this company, the day after the CCTV review, the board of directors gathered for an emergency meeting. A single folder lay in the center of the long table. Its cover held only one name, William H. Gray. Chairman Brennan opened the file slowly. "This is everything we have on him." His voice was steady, but the unease in his eyes was clear. The HR director looked through the pages and frowned. "There is nothing here. No entry record, no references, no past employment. Too many empty lines. That makes no sense." The finance director said sharply. "He worked here for over 2 decades. How can there be zero history?" Another board member sighed. "So we have a man with no background, no data, walking around a secure building. Imagine the risk." The room grew heavier. Eric Stone walked toward the windows, then turned with a small smile. "I warned you," he said. "He is hiding something." Silence filled the space. Everyone remembered the CCTV moment, the confident stride, the hidden corridor, and Ethan's trembling voice. "Are you that William?" That single line worried the board more than anything else. Why did the CEO react like that? Do they know each other? Could this be a threat? Questions tangled like wires. Then the door opened, and Ethan entered. His face was calm, but his eyes carried a weight he could not hide. "I'll join the meeting," he said quietly, taking a seat at the far end of the table. The chairman didn't waste time. "Ethan, do you know the old man?" Ethan hesitated. A long silence hung between them. His lips trembled slightly before he answered. "I wasn't sure, but now I'm starting to believe I do." The board exchanged uncomfortable glances. Eric leaned back with a cold grin. "This is what concerns us. You look like you're making decisions based on emotion." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I'm not emotional. I just want the truth." But the board seemed unmoved. "We need a full investigation on him. Limit his building access if needed. We must protect the company first." Mary suddenly spoke, her voice full of frustration. "If he hadn't been there, Ethan would be dead. Don't we owe him basic respect?" But the atmosphere was already shifting toward suspicion. That day, the board reached its conclusion. A complete background search on William Gray, a decision that would widen the rift and push the unfolding conflict into a much deeper stage. 1 week after the board ordered a full investigation, another incident shook the company. Late at night, an alarm suddenly echoed inside the server room. No smoke, no flames, yet the entire network went down, as if someone had pulled the main switch. Technicians rushed in, their voices filled with panic. What is happening? The backup line isn't responding. This feels like a core route failure. They scrambled to check cables, screens, and power lines. Then someone whispered, "He's here again." Every technician turned toward the doorway. William Gray stood there, his posture slightly bent, his old uniform smudged with a faint trace of dust. Why is he here? It's not even cleaning hours. Tension spread quickly. William stepped inside. The team leader held out a hand. "Sir, this is a restricted area. It's dangerous right now." William replied calmly, "Don't start with the backup line. You need to check the main route first." The room froze. What? The main route? Only trained staff know that layout. William walked toward a wall of cables, and touched one cluster gently. "This line," he said softly. "If this fails, the whole system loses circulation." The team leader stared at him. "How do you know that?" William lowered his eyes. "I've watched for a long time." The technicians exchanged uneasy looks. Fear and confusion mixed in their eyes. At that moment, someone ran into the room. "Ethan Cole." "William, why are you here?" Ethan's voice was steady, but his eyes trembled, as if the truth was standing right in front of him. William looked at him quietly. It felt familiar. Familiar? Ethan froze. The team leader stepped closer to Ethan. "Sir, this is strange. He knows the structure better than some of us. This shouldn't be possible." More whispers followed. "Is he messing with the system? Shouldn't we report this? What if he's dangerous?" William said nothing. He simply touched the burn mark on his hand, and walked out of the room, without a single word. Ethan stood there, watching the old man's slow steps fade away. A memory rose inside him. A night filled with smoke. A stranger carrying him. A promise made years ago. Ethan whispered under his breath, almost without realizing it. "It's him. It has to be him." The doubt was gone. Only certainty remained. After the server room incident, the company's atmosphere grew heavier each day. Whispers moved through the halls like a quiet storm. "Who is that old man? How does he know the server layout? It doesn't make sense." Suspicion spread fast. The board decided to confront William directly. The moment the door closed, the meeting room fell silent and cold. William sat with his hands folded, his burned skin faintly trembling. Chairman Brennan spoke first. "Mr. Gray, we need some answers." His tone was calm, but his eyes carried warning. "Why do you know the server structure? And why did you run into that hidden corridor?" Without hesitation, William lifted his gaze slowly. "I remembered it. From a long time ago." "Remembered?" Eric Stone let out a sharp laugh. "How does a janitor remember a core route? That even trained staff don't know." William dropped his eyes again. "And the CCTV footage." Eric stepped forward. "You ran straight into the flames, through a path that only a few people know. That is not luck." A representative tried to ask, "Could he have worked here before?" "No record." The HR director cut in. "Not a single entry. His file is full of empty lines." The tension tightened. "We cannot let an unidentified person walk around the company," the finance director said. "It's a security risk." Eric's voice rose sharply. "He needs to be restricted. Right now." At that moment, the door opened, and Ethan Cole stepped inside. "Wait." His voice was firm but low. "Do not make a decision yet." Eric scoffed. "You're the CEO, Ethan. Your priority should be safety." "I know," Ethan replied, his eyes fixed on William, "but there is something I need to confirm first." "Confirm?" Eric's patience snapped. "This is not a game. That man has no history, acts suspiciously, and knows areas he should not know. Does that look normal to you?" William sat still, accepting every accusation silently, but his trembling fingers showed the truth he could not speak. Then the chairman delivered the verdict. "Until the investigation is complete, Mr. Gray is banned from entering the building." The room went still. William lowered his head. There was no anger, no complaint, just quiet resignation. Ethan felt his chest tighten, because deep inside, he finally understood something. This old man is not who he seems. The morning after William's access was revoked, The company felt strangely hollow. The halls were quiet, the offices tense, and no one dared mention the old man's name. Silence pressed against the walls, like a storm waiting to break. That afternoon, William walked into the lobby, with a small cloth bag in his hand. He moved slowly, his shoulders lowered, his steps steady but heavy. A security guard approached him. "Sir, you're not allowed inside anymore." William bowed his head slightly. "I understand. I only need to collect my things." He walked toward the break room, opened a small drawer, and took out 2 items, an old notebook, and a worn pair of work gloves. Those simple objects held decades of hidden loyalty. When he returned to the lobby, and headed toward the exit, a sudden shout echoed down the stairs. "William, wait!" Everyone turned. Ethan Cole was running down the steps, breathless, his eyes burning with urgency. "Please don't leave." Ethan reached out a hand. "There is something I still need to know." William turned slowly. His face held a quiet sadness. "Ethan, I no longer belong here." "No." Ethan shook his head hard. "You don't leave until I say so. You changed my life, even if you don't know it." Employees watched in stunned silence. Nothing made sense anymore. Then Eric Stone stepped forward, his voice sharp and cold. "Ethan, you're letting feelings control you. This man..." "Eric, stop." Ethan's tone cut through the lobby. "For once let me speak." William lowered his gaze. "Please don't do this. It's better if I go. This is the right choice." "The right choice?" Ethan's voice cracked. "I've owed you for years ago. For 40 whole years ago. I've carried that debt." Whispers spread like wildfire. 40? What happened 40 years ago? Do they know each other? Eric scoffed. "What debt? What are you even talking about?" Slowly, for the first time, William lifted his head. In his eyes were memories too heavy to speak, and a truth too old to hide. The lobby went still. Finally, William said quietly, "The night you were 25, I was the one who saved you." But this was only the beginning of the real explosion. The lobby went silent. William's soft words felt heavier than any alarm, any crisis the company had ever faced. "When you were 25, I was the one who saved you." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Eric exploded first. "That makes no sense. There is no record of that anywhere." William breathed slowly. "There couldn't be. Not after what happened." Ethan stepped closer, his voice unsteady. "Are you saying you were the one from that night?" William nodded, his eyes dim with old memories. "The factory explosion," he said quietly. "The small metal plant your father built. The flames were everywhere. You had collapsed near the old press machine." Ethan's breath caught. "I don't remember. I only recall being carried. Someone running through the smoke." "That was me," William whispered. Shock spread across the lobby. Some covered their mouths, others stared without blinking. Ethan's voice trembled. "But why hide it?" William closed his eyes for a moment, before answering. "Your father died that night," he said softly. His final words were a request. "A request?" Ethan whispered. William opened his eyes, filled with grief and loyalty. "Please protect my son." Those were his last words. Silence fell like a stone. Even the air seemed to stop moving. "I had nothing," William continued. "No title, no wealth, no reason to stay near the company, except that promise." Ethan's tears ran freely. He stepped closer. "So you came here, as a janitor, just to keep that promise?" William nodded. "This company was his life, and you were his only child. Someone had to watch over both." Employees felt shame twist inside their hearts. One whispered, "He's not just a janitor. He's been protecting us for years ago." William lowered his gaze. "I chose the background on purpose. That way I wouldn't interfere with your life." Ethan grabbed his hands tightly. "You should have told me. You should have said something. I've owed you for so long." William smiled faintly. "Watching you live, watching you grow, that was enough for me." The lobby trembled with quiet sorrow, and in that moment, everyone understood. This old man was not a shadow. He was the silent guardian who had protected the company for decades. The day after the truth was revealed, the entire company felt transformed. The halls were strangely quiet, as if everyone was walking through a memory they could not escape. When Ethan arrived, employees stepped aside respectfully. Some lowered their eyes, some wiped tears quickly. Guilt and admiration mixed heavily in the air. "I can't believe we treated him that way. We never even asked who he really was." Meanwhile, the boardroom was filled with chaos. Papers thrown across the table, voices raised, accusations flying in every direction. "You should have verified the file." "There was no file. We nearly put the company at risk. He protected us for years ago." Don't twist the story. For the first time, the board was completely divided. Eric Stone sat in the corner, his face pale, hands clasped tightly. He kept whispering to himself, as if trying to rewrite reality. "No, he can't be the hero. It doesn't make sense." But the truth kept echoing through his mind like a heavy drum. 3 days after the revelation, the company felt completely different. Reporters filled the lobby. Employees arrived early, speaking in soft voices, as if waiting for something historic. "They're making an announcement today. What will happen to Mr. Gray?" Soon, everyone gathered in the lobby. Ethan Cole stepped onto the staircase, holding a microphone. With a steady but emotional expression, "Everyone," he began quietly, "we failed to see a man who stood beside us for years ago." Heads lowered around the room. He was not just a janitor. He protected this company. He protected me. And he protected every single one of you. Eyes watered. Some sniffled softly. Ethan stepped aside. "Mr. William Gray, please come forward." A hush fell. William walked slowly from the back, his shoulders slightly bent, his steps careful, as though carrying decades of quiet duty. Ethan bowed deeply. "Thank you for saving me. For saving this company." William whispered, "Ethan, you're giving me too much credit." "No," Ethan said firmly, "you are the true guardian of this place." Then he announced, "From today, Mr. William Gray is appointed as our honorary advisor." Gasps filled the lobby. Ethan continued, "He will receive lifetime support, housing, pension, and every form of respect he deserves. He is part of this family for as long as he wishes." William's lips trembled. "I only kept a promise to your father, one I could not ignore." Ethan placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then let me keep my promise now." Applause erupted. Some employees cried openly. Others placed their hands over their hearts, finally realizing the truth. Whispers rose gently. "We didn't know. He carried this company for years ago. We owe him everything." That day, the company learned a lesson it should have known long ago. A person's worth is not defined by a job title, but by the heart that guides their actions. William smiled softly. "This place will grow well," he said. Ethan answered, "Because of you." And for the first time, the company understood what respect truly meant. Thank you for staying with us until the end. We will be back soon with a better story. Your support, your likes and your follow means so much to us.